Shalom, welcome back. This is going to be a quick video dealing with the digital ID. I want to do a quick update on it. I did a recent news and prophecy, or in the news video, concerning Great Britain, the UK mandating digital ID and saying, every working adult in the UK has to have a digital ID or they just can't work, right? Period. And immediately after, the about 2.7 million Brits, they signed a petition saying that we don't want it. And you're gonna hear an interesting update in this video that I'm about to get ready to cover. But you see the image here. Over 6,000 Swedes have microchips implanted in their hands, turning their bodies into digital ID cards. And I thought that was an interesting wording, because if you don't know, you might say, well, it's just a digital ID. It's like we doing everything digital already. What's the big deal? Well, this is the big deal, because this is the chip is the important piece of where this is all going, where this is going to progress to. And your body is going to be you're the barcode. You are the product. You are the the piece that is ultimately going to have to be merged with where all of this technology is progressing to. Everything is outside the body, but this is an important piece in moving forward into getting the technology into the body of people. So with that, let's go ahead and play this clip. Check this out. I want to get like 10 around about a good 6-7 minutes of it, but we're gonna go ahead and listen. This is the Freedom Report. Technocratic control through digital ID is here. Check this out.
Hey everybody, this is Rob Keats with the Freedom Report, and I have a very special returning guest to the program. You might have seen him last time we did a roundtable on CBDCs. That was some time ago last year, but he's back to talk about digital ID. It is the CEO of the Daylight Freedom Foundation and a fellow at the Brownstone Institute. Aaron Day, how are you doing today, Aaron?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very well, and thank you for coming back. On my Twitter feed, it popped up that you were doing something on digital IDs. We just did a video on it last night. That has become sort of the talk of the town, at least in the underground. I know it's not mainstream media, obviously. So I'm just going to jump right in there. What are digital IDs, and why should people care here in the United States?
Well, digital IDs are simply, it's a program that's deployed by governments to basically track your identity and associate your identity with other information about you. And it's used for complete and total surveillance. That's essentially the end game. So once your digital ID is tied to your digital currency, then they're able to track your movement, track your purchases, track everything. And they can then stop what you're doing or censor what you're doing accordingly, which has been.
So keep that in mind, because one said, well, they can already track you. You got your phone on you all day. Your transactions are shown, and on all your spending with your credit cards and everything. Yeah, but that's also an important piece. He said to stop your spending. They can stop things as well. All right, so let's continue.
Plan from the beginning.
Yeah, we were talking before about how this popped up on WEF websites, and I think people kind of poo-pooed it and downplayed it as sort of Schwab being like a cartoon character or something like that, and then all of a sudden it's here right now. So talk a little bit, we'll get back to the US in a second, talk about around the world. How many countries around the world have either already implemented this or are in the process of putting this into place?
Well, just in the past 90 days, 17 countries have signed it into law. And this is the thing, I just did a few-hour podcast on this on the Aaron Day Show, and I walked through all of this, and I was actually stunned by this. In fact, I'm pulling up my notes now because it actually took me aback. And part of what was surprising is that these 17 countries not only announced it all at the same time, all used the same language, but they used the same technology vendors to roll it out as well. So they're using a few companies.
So 17 countries are using the same language. What brings to mind, let's go to, because this is the times of the Tower of Babel all over again, essentially. Let's grab that Genesis 10 or Genesis 11. This is Genesis 11:5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. The children of men, these are the heathen. All right, the heathen nations were building this tower If I'm not mistaken, it was headed by Nimrod. It said in the verse 6, and the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. All right, so they all was on one accord. They all have one language. It was all on one accord. They were all plotting and conspiring this one thing together. You know, go to let us go down in their confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build a city. Therefore it is name of it is called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from there did the Lord scatter them abroad from off the face of the earth. So yeah, the Lord scattered that because this was the heathen plotting evil to exalt themselves on the earth. Like they're somebody. This is Psalms 2:1. Why do the heathen rage? When you look at rage, it goes into conspire. It says, and the people imagine a vain thing. Verse 2, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, his anointed are the Israelites, or Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. Verse 3, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Okay, so this ain't nothing but modern day Tower of Babel via a digital technocracy. And the nations are conspiring on one accord with this. You see that?
Called Thales Group, IDEMIA, and Accenture, which are all majority owned by BlackRock. So there are a lot of people that say, well, hey, Trump won the election, we're back, globalism is dead. I hear Alex Jones say we defeated the globalists. That could not be further from the truth. Not only is what's going on in Europe and these 17 other countries happening at an accelerated pace, it's actually happening faster here in the United States, where we have a digital ID.
So it's moving at an accelerated pace. The agenda is moving quickly, and it's happening here in the United States as well. All right, it's moving quickly. It's happening at an accelerated pace. All right, the time is short.
Real ID, which is already digital in 11 states, and it's going to be rolled out to, I think, 20 more digitally by the end of this year. So this is a significant problem. And digital ID, my focus area has been CBDCs and, promoting solutions to surveillance money, whether that's gold, silver, or privacy cryptocurrencies. That's been my big focus for the last 3 years. But this dovetails with digital IDs. And where this really started to pop up as a news story again is when in the UK, Prime Minister Starmer came out and said, well, we're going to implement a digital ID in the UK by 2029. And if you don't have a digital ID, you can't work, regardless of what business. This isn't just working for a large corporation. If you are an Uber driver, if you are in the gig economy, everybody in the UK will have to have a digital ID. And what's alarming about it isn't just that he announced this, but there was a petition signed, that they put out a petition opposing it that collected 2.8 million signatures in just a matter of a few days. Parliament came out against it, and the Prime Minister just overrode all of it by executive decree and pushed it anyway.
Yeah.
And so it's...
So 2.8 million people pushed against it via petition, and Parliament said, we don't care. We're doing this, you see? And that's why, this is why this ministry is important, because it provides the truth. If you didn't have this truth, you in the world thinking that the power to the people, we elect the servants or the prime ministers, the presidents, you're public servants, you're to obey our voice, our votes, our petitions. No, this is showing you that you're powerless. Prophecy is speaking. This is what it is, man. These scriptures are coming to pass. They gonna push this. This is the beast system. You talking about UK. UK is one of those horns. This is one of the beast nations too. Even though they're no longer in the EU. Okay, they are still, matter of fact, I think UK is a member of NATO, if I'm not mistaken. So let's check that real quick. UK member. NATO members. And why am I looking that up? Because NATO represents the beast. So it's 32 members of NATO. Yeah, the UK is a part of NATO. List of member states. The United Kingdom, that's right. So, yeah, this is the beast. This is the beast, man. So, yeah, let's go.
That put the whole digital ID topic back into the news. And then I found that this whole situation with these 17 countries in the last 90 days signing
spread over here because, like you said, it's accelerating and it's happening here as well. People are gonna resist against this here as well, and they ain't gonna give a damn. They gonna say we're doing this, but that's why they also have all these calamities happening, all these shootings and all this stuff happening all over the place, and they keep talking about crime and this and that. They're gonna, come on now, we see it, peace and safety, security. They're gonna, justify saying we need this for your safety. We need to be able to track who's on the internet. People are getting radicalized on the internet and committing these violent offensive acts in real life. We need to be able to monitor. This is for your safety, y'all. Trust us. Let's continue.
The topic back into the news, and then I found that this whole situation with these 17 countries in the last 90 days signing it into law. Then I'm like, wow, okay, there's something going on, and we've just not been focused on it. And so then you dig into this. I think there are 3 billion people covered by this 17 country rollout, which, by the way, is targeting a 2026 to 2027 complete rollout. So I want to put this into perspective. I would argue that because of what's happened just globally in the last 9 months, what we were worried about is Agenda 2030 is going to happen by 2028.
Yeah, it seems like an acceleration because I know if you go down those bullet points.
Yep, they're moving quickly. And that's why the Great Wrath is coming, because they have a short time. They're not playing. 2030 is going to be ready by it's looking like 2028. Come on, man. 3 years. Not even that. So let's get and they gonna push this. They gonna push this. They gonna go hard with this too. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the heavens, inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you. Excuse me, it's lucky. The devil has come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. They have a short time, and the Lord is forcing their hand. The angels are showing themselves, just like, going back to Genesis 11, when the heathen were building. Right? They were building. What did the Lord do? It says, verse 5, Genesis 11:5, the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. Now, did Yahweh himself come off the throne and come see? No. He sent the angels. He sent the angels to scope out, and see what was going on. 2 Chronicles 16:9, for the eyes of Yahweh run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. Herein thou hast done foolishly, therefore, but Job 2:2, and the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord, from going to and fro throughout the earth. So even Satan goes to and fro throughout the earth, which is an angel, if you will, on his left-hand side. But the angels on the right-hand side are also going to and fro out the earth. They are the eyes. So he got the angels spotting out what they're doing with this plan. All right, and they're spooked. So they're going to move quickly. Let's continue.
Certain things in the digital space are being accelerated, and I was as guilty of you of focusing on stablecoins.
Yeah, like within the digital space, AI has been accelerated. It's being integrated more and more into all platforms. Now you're gonna hear him say something about that might be in the 10-minute mark, but even within the corporate realm, companies are being shut down and fined when they don't implement this plan. Right. So let's find that. I'm gonna play a little bit more, then I'm gonna jump to 10-minute mark.
BDCs, that type of thing. And it almost seems like, and, and here in Texas, we have real IDs, which is a precursor to the digital ID. And as soon as
Okay, so let's jump up. And like they end up mentioning, like, there's not enough discussion of this. Right? People are not really talking about this. Man, this whole thing is going to happen like a thief in the night, man. It's going to be quick. It's going to be quick, man. It's going to be quick.
Get this information out there. Did you know, for instance, here's another shocker. On July the 24th, Mexico mandated biometric IDs containing fingerprints, iris scans, and facial data for every single citizen. Furthermore, they made it illegal for companies not to use it. So every employer must comply by law or be shut down. Made it illegal.
Let's play that again. That was quick. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back.
You're like, same with you, right? I'm like, I can't believe this. So I've got to get this information out there. Did you know, for instance, here's another shocker. On July the 24th, Mexico mandated biometric IDs containing fingerprints, iris scans, and facial data for every single citizen. Furthermore, they made it illegal for companies not to use it. So every employer must comply by law or be shut down immediately. This is corporate enforcement of government tracking. So, when you think about and you map out
corporate enforcement of government tracking. Corporate enforcement. So Mexico said that everyone must have biometric and digital info on file, and it's illegal if you don't have it. See, so the corporations are gonna be used to enforce the plans of the technocrats. You see, and that's why the corporations are consolidating and things are shutting down and closing down, and there's becoming fewer and fewer places that have jobs and work. And then even self-employment things like Uber, it's going to trickle down. Everything is going to require it. And this is all the mandating part, and he causeth, right? This is how he's causing. Because in order to maintain a living, a household, a income, you're gonna have to go through him through this system, which Esau and the heathen they have the world. The world is having to rely and use it. There's very, very little true independence on the earth. This is Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, right? And Mexico is a small nation. That's not, it's great. They produce a lot of produce, but it's, on a grand scale, Mexico is not one of the. And then I got articles which I'm gonna cover in a different lesson, but it ties into this. Is Nigeria, Zimbabwe launched farmer digital ID initiatives. He's causing all, both small and great. The farmers, Zimbabwe, like who the fuck talks about Zimbabwe? Nigeria, okay. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So the digital ID is the precursor to that mark. And as we started with this, over 6,000, the number 6, right, have microchips implanted in their hands. This is in their hands. This is the prophecy that we just read. This is the vision John is saying right now. He calls it all, except they had it in their foreheads or in their hands, turning their bodies into digital ID cards. And you see, so the digital ID is the pre, all right, the before. We see it. We see you. Let's continue, and I'm gonna get ready to close out.
Or be shut down immediately. This is corporate enforcement of government tracking. So, when you think about and you map out, and actually I learned this when I was researching CBDCs, because often the World Bank and the IMF will pick countries where you're like, hey, why is Nigeria implementing a CBDC? And what you find is that the long-term game plan is to move towards an interoperable global system of either digital programmable currencies or digital IDs.
Yeah.
They pick countries that are the most difficult to implement logistically, on the understanding of, if we can get a country that's only, a third of the people are online, if we can get a CBDC implemented there, then we can get the rollout happening everywhere, and then we can use the threat or incentive or penalty of the purse strings through the World Bank and the IMF to make that happen. Well, I would not have occurred to me that Mexico would have been one to implement a complete biometric ID across.
See, and that goes into the point I just mentioned, and he calls it all both small and great. He's not only hitting the bigger nations, the more notable nations of the earth. He's hitting smaller nations too. Zimbabwe, Mexico. It's going to be little nations. He's causing all. Let's continue.
The entire country. This is going to be live fully in the first quarter of next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you think, so obviously this isn't something, given how large and how difficult it is to implement something like this at the level of a country, this has obviously been in the planning stages for years.
And then it would have had to been the technology. I mean, it would take years and years to develop that system. And I was in tech for 27, almost 30 years. That's why it has to have been worked on for the last 10 to 15. That you cannot roll a national system out like this. Even if you think of the different states and their different governmental systems and IT systems, just from that perspective, there would have had to been some sort of silent coordination going on for years and years. This is just too big of a project. And that's what really stuns me, is that's really, that's evil. It's pure evil to hold this under the water until it starts bobbing up around the world. And, oh, by the way, here it is. And it's kind of like they gave us a head fake with the CBDC stuff. We were chewing on that, on the economic side. Yeah, it's just stunning. It's absolutely stunning. I won't say I'm surprised that it happened, but I'm just surprised it happened now in 2025. I would not have expected it.
We are running out of time on digital currencies, on digital IDs, on all of the surveillance. And in fact, again, we should not sit here and say, oh, well, look at what they're doing in the UK. It's actually accelerated here more than anywhere else. Other countries and other projects are being brought forward because of what the U.S. has done. So this thing in Mexico is absolutely frightening. I mean, again, QR codes with all of this biometric data, businesses being co-opted to push the compliance aspect of it. It's just social network mapping, automatically generated, complete location history available on demand. Authorities can track anyone within seconds, right? I mean,
wow. We've got a recent example of that, because they found the guy that set the Palisades fires. And that came out in the news yesterday. You know how they did it? They tracked his cell phone data to within 30 foot of where the fire started, and then tracked him as he drove out. And that's how they got him. And so these right here now become your digital trackers. And yeah, that I used to work in telecom, and people will not believe it, but I worked in telecom. And when they started rolling 5G out, I said, because I was a cybersecurity guy for that, where I had to look at the engineering plans and provide the security controls to make sure that infrastructure was not hackable. And so we ran pen tests on it, did all sorts of configuration management. I did that for 4.5 years. At Verizon, one of the leading, if not the leading telecom in the United States. And after I left Verizon, well, first of all, I left because they tried to make me take the shot, and I said, no, thank you. And so they basically forced me out. But, I thought 5G is a control grid. And I just wrote an article on my Substack about 5G being a control grid. So yes, so everybody go read that Substack article. With telematics information from your vehicle, with tracking on your phone, it is completely possible to track everything that you do. And one more thing about 5G, it has something called network slicing along with some other technologies, and where they can track you individually through the system. That you literally have your own pathway from your phone through all the system, that they can track everything that you do. And so that technology to have total tracking of everything that you do electronically while you're mobile, including your car, is already in place. It's been in place. And so now you start layering on these other things like CBDCs, you start layering on, the digital ID, and it looks like, Aaron, the total control system is here, or at least major parts of it. Now my question is, culturally, what's going to happen when the American people figure this out? Because if they roll out something that says you can't have a job or whatever, you think the American people are going to stand down to this? We have a history of rebelling against tyranny. Do you think it's going to happen in this day and age? Will the people stand up and say no?
Well, I mean, I'll get to that in a second, but I actually want to go develop